most old photos, those taken in the 19th century and early 20th century, people aren't smiling. That's led to the popular belief that people simply didn't smile in old photos, like in this depressing photo from 1900. So why did people in old photos look like they had just heard the worst news of their life? We can't know for sure, but a few theories help us to guess what was behind all the black and white frowning. One common explanation for lack of smile in the old photos is that long exposure times. The time a camera needs to take a picture made it important for the subject of a picture to stay as still as possible. That way, the picture wouldn't look blurry. The picture shown here illustrates why early cameras made it harder to capture a smile. The figure in the picture is blurry, most likely because he moves slightly during the long exposure time. In theory, you would maintain as still a position as possible, and it's harder to maintain a smile than relatively flat facial expression. But that's only part of the story and was really only a huge factor in the very early days of photography. George Eastman House curator Todd Gustafson said, "When I was researching the history of selfie, exposure times had gotten a lot shorter by 1900s with the introduction of Brownie and other cameras. These cameras were still slow by today's standards, but not so slow that it was impossible to smile. Yet, smiles were still uncommon in early part of the century. That suggests there were also cultural reasons people didn't smile in old photos. Any general cultural theories involves a leap of faith, but these try to explain why old photos look so sad. Today, photography is a means of recording our lives as they have lived. But in early days of art, it was indebted to a tradition of portraiture in painting. A photograph was frozen presentation of a person, not a moment in time. Even the models thought so. In 1894, the Photographic Journal of America interviewed a model named Elmer Ellsworth Masterman. He had an unusual gig. He professionally modeled as Jesus Christ for painting and photographs. He also didn't see the distinction between two art forms. "What is the difference between posing for a photograph and posing for a painting?" he asked. The photographic tradition of portraiture began in part because of the technological limitation of camera that had to take a picture slowly. But even once cameras improved, it was difficult to imagine photography as a unique art with its own aesthetics. Even when it was easier to take pictures quickly, cameras still represent an ideal of life, not a slice of it. That meant no smiling. When we snap a profile picture today, part of the goal is to look cool or to document fleeting moments. But people didn't think about their Instagram page in the early days of photography. For them, photographs were passage to immortality. That's especially evident in the tradition of postmortem photography. In that genre, a recently deceased person, child, or a pet would be photographed as if they were still alive. Began in the early days of photography, it had largely, though not completely, petered out by 1900s, but it reveals the mentality of the time. Portraiture was used as a way to preserve the living for the future generation. That meant the medium was predisposed to seriousness over the short-lived photos. There's no better reflection of that idea than words of Mark Twain, a man who made living as humorist. He said, "I think a photograph is a most important document. There is nothing more damning to go down to posterity than a silly, foolish smile caught and fixed forever." The fourth argument for why people in old photos frown is one of the most compelling, though also the hardest to prove. It's possible that many people in early 1900s simply thought smiling was for idiots. Nicholas Jeeves surveyed smiling in portraits for the Public Domain Review and came to the conclusion that there was a centuries-long history of viewing smiling as something only buffoons did. Jeeves dismissed the alternative theory that bad teeth kept people from smiling. After all, if everybody had bad teeth, it probably wasn't a problem. Like any sweeping cultural thesis, it is a tough statement to prove, and the exceptions are abundant. For example, the Flickr group Smiling Victorians has 2,100 photos, and at least some of them show genuine grins. That alone is significant counter-argument, but the prevailing concept of old pictures have humorless lyrics seem on the mark and is confirmed in some ways by the need to make special Flickr group for pictures that aren't dure. In the late 19th and 20th century, the culture at large may have frowned on the smile, and it took a while to learn to love it. All that is what makes this photograph taken around 1904 so striking. It's from a collection of Berthold Laufer's images from his expedition to China and featured by the American Museum of Natural History Library. This man is definitely smiling. We don't know much about the photo itself, but it offers a perfect opportunity to examine why it seems like people in old photos never smiled. The clues might lie in photographer and subject. The photographer, Berthold Laufer, was an anthropologist, which meant he had a different vision than the other photographers of his time. He sought to record life instead of pose it. That goal meant capturing a wider range of emotions. His rice-loving subject may have been willing to grin because he was from different culture with its own sensibility concerning photographic and public behavior. Both of them were outsiders to mainstream photographic culture. Together, they create a picture that's memorable even now. We don't know for sure why one man eating rice looks so happy, but we do know it led to a picture that can still make us smile today. The norms of spontaneous amateur photography began to bleed into more formal photography, says Trumbull website, as people developed new expectations about how they wanted to be seen. As the century wore on, photography and painting began to interact, each trying to take advantage of the other's medium benefits. Painters would try to emulate the clarity and spontaneity of photos, and photographers would attempt to evoke artistry of fine painting. That went for smiles too, Trumbull says, as people began to smile in different ways. In painted portraits during the Edwardian period, about 1895 to 1914, after the same change took place in photography. By World War II, the shift in photographic norms was pretty much complete. A study of high school yearbook photos in US taken from 1905 to 2005 told a similar story of changing default expression. The researchers averaged images of men and women by decade, though it was specific sample. They found the large lip curvature increase over time, also that women led the way to do the grins, on average smiling more than men did in any given decade. People in human history have smiled, laughed and behaved more or less as they do today. In other words, naturally and spontaneously in private sphere. What is radically different is public performance and public presentation.